Hey man, how you been? All right, you been good. It's been a little while since we've.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Yeah, no, fucking ages. I've been good. I'm still bouncing around doing sort of. I mean, like being in a band is still basically the one constant. Everything else is like, oh, I've gone through politics, back in academia, doing everything. That's just like fucking doing whatever. But yeah, what about yourself?
oh man, same. Just busy, band and
Sick.
this thing and family and work and just the
Yeah.
usual.
Well, that's also the other thing. When you're trying to get all these extra things like sort of up and running, then there's just the regular life stuff, which on paper usually seems like, oh, it's this, it's sort of in the way, not, but that's always the best shit.
Mm.
Like especially like family stuff, friend stuff. It's always like, oh, I should be prioritizing that. It is good for the soul. I feel good doing this. Ah, fuck.
It's true.
That's how I feel at least.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But man, hey, thanks for hanging out on the show. It's good. Good catching up.
No, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, of course, Eye of the Enemy, dropping this new EP, which I heard this afternoon. Man, it's only equals negotiate.
Yeah,
That's cool. It's a
that
good.
was. Thanks. It's weird. So I um last year, sometime time doesn't matter since the lockdowns. Everyone's fucked. It doesn't count.
Yes.
But a while ago, I was at this like organizer, like a political organizer, activist training sort of session,
Hmm.
and it was pretty good. Like practical hints and tips and all that sort of stuff. But inside like the first half hour of the first day, it was like a 2 day thing. One of these like organizers, lifelong not careerist politician, but like a lifelong activist, had that phrase and was just and meant it in this sort of just like, now this is why we build political coalitions. This is why we build power, because only equals negotiate. Right now, what we mean by that is obviously if you don't equal with someone, then you're only having a discussion, or they're threatening or something like that. But it bored into my fucking brain, like that stuck with me as if everything had sort of clicked out of nowhere. And I've been chewing on that three-word phrase for months and months incessantly, because it just, I mean, firstly, it sounds pretty fucking metal when you put it in the right context. I
Yeah.
feel like it's got a vibe to it of just like, and remember that you're not. But like it's got this sort of resonance to it. And part of this EP for me as like the principal lyricist in Eye of the Enemy is just sort of like trying to get this phrase out to as many people as possible. So maybe some other people will have that lightning bolt moment that I had,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it impacted me so much. And hopefully, even if one other person through my band hears that phrase and is like, oh shit. Oh, that's why we build power. That's what we have to get to. That's my personal life explained. That's my political life explained. That's my job explained. Like, to me, it symbolizes the sort of inherent power structures that come with being creatures that have critical thought, have rationality, have language, have basically the ability to negotiate and to live a good life with each other. Means that sometimes you need to make sure you're on equal footing with people who want to stop you from having that good life. And so, yeah, I wrote a whole EP trying to figure out that idea.
It's good, man. I don't think I've ever heard someone title an EP or album that before. It's a new
Yeah.
concept. But
Well, that's it. I'm surprised I hadn't heard it before too. It definitely sounded like something that, like one of those ones that you hear and you're like, oh, I've always known that, or surely I've heard that before. Surely someone's had that phrase in my circles or the books I read or whatever before, but it's just I hadn't. And it's like, yeah, shit, clarifies a lot.
did that spark the EP? Like, did you go to the other boys? I got this fucking idea, or
Listen, hey.
listen, sit down, cunt. Um, did was the music already written, or did it spark that creativity?
So it was really sort of weird in that while I was personally mulling over that idea and trying to sort of figure out what it means for me, how to sit with it, we were also trying to figure out what to do, like as a band, but musically, like where we were sort of at. And so we were talking about doing another album, and getting writing on that. But we were just sort of looking at the time frames and looking at how touring was opening up after all of the lockdowns and getting back into the sort of swing of it. And the idea of of an EP came out originally. Like the very first idea we had for an EP was around the release structure that we had. So what we've done over 2024 is we had this EP sort of written and recorded end of last year, and then started to release every song, like one song per quarter, to basically like keep us relevant on the algorithms, basically, to make sure that, you know, the singles that people release now are sort of the point. That's how musical acts basically interact. The album is now more than ever a vessel for singles, and even then, people just release random singles and put them out. Even Slipknot's done it now. They've done the Justin Bieber version of just a random single at some point. But we also wanted to make sure that it cohered to what metalheads, ourselves include, like, which is a fully considered album. An album that has like you listen to in one sitting, which again, I think people don't really do that as much these days. I know I used to do it a lot, and we just don't. I remember I used to like get a new album and I would clear an hour and a half, and I would put headphones on, or I'd have my huge speakers, and that would be all I did. And I just can't remember the last time I've either been able to do that, or with the brain rot as it is, being able to like put aside the mental space to do that, which I think is a shame. And so I'm always trying to at least get that back in the art that I put out, even if I can't consume it as much like that. But anyway, the idea for the EP started to take shape around like, what can we do to an EP that makes it coherent like that? Instead of it just being 4 random songs, can we make it a larger sort of, if not a concept, then like thematically consistent? Can we play it into each other? So we started writing with this idea around these songs that all are like discrete songs, but they do lead into each other. And the EP itself loops all like the other way around.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about that and like the cyclical nature of it, I think that's where the different facets of this concept of only equals negotiate started to sort of mull over in my mind, and I could tease apart 4 interconnected but different ideas around that. And that's where it all started to fall into place. And I think once we hit the concept, there was just this sort of explosion of the music all coming together super quick. Like most people who have written like an album or an EP, written a piece of work together, there's a moment where it clicks, and then the rest of it just sort of flows. And it took us a little while to churn to that click point, but once we got it, it all just sort of it came out. Like, and same with the art as well. It all played into it.
Yeah, the artwork is really cool. I like that. So
yeah, we had I had a different idea originally, with like, I think I wanted like a hand coming out of the dirt or something, and in like 4 different like frames, there's still the same hand, but it's like it's holding something different, and there's something slightly different in the background, and one of them like it's a skeleton hand. It's just some shit like that wasn't as good. But my partner Chris is a very talented tattooist and designer who was just like, well, what if you did something very different? But we like workshopped a few of these different ideas, and like as we just started like, you know, throwing ideas back and forth, settled on this like medieval looking art design. And so like got a sort of collage of different things together, and sent that over to the designer Thrashwolf, who I've loved forever. I love his sort of work. Yeah. He's fantastic.
He is.
Super great dude.
Yeah. Fucking shout out to Thrashwolf if you watch it.
Yeah.
What a fucking legend.
Which is also just cool to like, you know, be able to say that I like shot him over an email. We had a chat on the phone. It was really cool. And he was like, yeah, in between doing like Metallica posters and shit, I'll be able to do your little EP art. But it was cool too, because like the design that we sort of had and we were working with, again, lent itself to that like cyclical but discrete ideas. So we had, again, like the 4 quadrants. So you'd see on the art, for the singles that we had out, each one is just a quarter of this full wheel, but then we've got like the whole EP art as the full wheel itself. And so it was like, he said it was a cool thing for him to do, in terms of having to design it at a level of fidelity that each quarter could be interesting, but then when it's the whole wheel, it's not too muddled.
Yeah.
Which is it makes me, I don't know, it's not pride or anything like that, but it's just, I feel really fucking cool to be able to bring in people who aren't musicians into the process of writing an album, and to get them sort of involved, and like to just hear someone say, that's a cool idea. I'll see what I can do. Like that's a fun, different thing. And like, yeah, fucking go nuts. What do you see as the design when you hear the music? Like that shit's that's just cool. And that's one thing I like doing as well, in terms of just like, when I say bringing people in as well, not giving them exacting design briefs.
Yeah.
Because in the same way, like I can't play guitar. Sometimes I tell the guitarist riffs that come out, like I sing them the riff, and it gets to a point where like I'm singing this riff and I can hear it in my head, and what they're playing on the guitar is the same thing. But in my head, it's really good. And what they're playing is shit. And it's like, no, your idea sucks. It's like, nah, that's my idea is really good. And your brain manages to like switch things into like, that's a shit riff. It's bad. It's no good. No one's going to enjoy it. But you hear it in your head as, yeah, it's really good. Or you see the design in your head. It's like, no, it's really good. And part of it, I think, is realizing that creatives have technical skills, and they're the ones that actually have the idea to make something look good. And sometimes it's barely related to your first idea. So I love giving people ideas now of just like for guitarists, I'll be like, what do you reckon if this was more orange? And it's like, oh, fuck you talking about? I'm like, I don't know, but go for it. That's what I hear. And just, and having it come out like that. So same thing with Thrashwolf, of just sort of like, this is like our vague idea. This is the collage we've got, but like, how would you do it? And getting that back, I'm like, hey, fuck yeah, it's a Thrashwolf piece. It's not a Mitch piece. It's not an Eye of the Enemy piece. So yeah.
Is it going to be released physically, like on vinyl, or is it with that full artwork? Is that
we talked about doing that? No. It's just tough with like selling a physical product these days is, for me personally at least, it's fraught because of the sort of the consumerist and wasteful culture that we have of like, I want your collector's item vinyl. And I want to sort of question why we're putting a lot of resources into producing that. And if it's just going to sit on a shelf, if you're not actually going to like listen to it, then to me, that's a waste in a way that a t-shirt isn't. And like, and in this day and age, like doing CDs is like, it's not there, no. But it is a lot of plastic still. And it's a lot of different types of plastic. It's a lot of producing, it's a lot of shipping for what is essentially a merch product to sit there. And the thing is, I've been into metal since I was 9. I get what it's like, how meaningful artifacts from bands are. But to me, I feel like the artifact is less important than is getting something from the band, knowing you supported the band, and being able to display it pride of place. And so that, next to the fucking costs of doing vinyl, just made it difficult to justify, I feel, for a 4-track EP. Even though, like, yeah, the art is really fucking cool. We do have some merch coming through though with the designs, which I'm stoked on. And so I feel like that hopefully will suffice for people. But yeah, for me, it was sort of a difficult sell for, again, what is just like a sort of a 4-track EP, plus the immense cost to the band for it, without any real guarantee that they would sell. Once they sell them, we've got the shipping, plus also the way vinyl's going at the moment. Like it just backs up. The timing on it can be really sort of difficult and fraught. So yeah, look, I would recommend, and maybe we'll just put it up on a website or Facebook or something, but like maybe we'll just put up some high resolution JPEGs of the art. And it's like, you can just put it on your PC background. There you go. That'd be sick.
Screensavers. Yeah. Remember them kids? You know? It's like,
oh, fuck. We should get the screensaver, and it's the circle art, but it moves like the DVD bouncer across the screen.
Yeah. It's like you get your Shrek menu and you. Yeah.
Oh, we could do a whole suite like MySpace where like the cursor could change to the Eye of the Enemy star, and you could move that around. Do PCs don't even have screensavers anymore, do they?
I don't know. Mine it just turns off and goes, fuck you. I'm going to sleep. Um,
You're
what?
ignoring me.
Yeah. And then
Turns
you
itself
have to like
off.
shake your mouse violently to get it back on. Or space bar. One thing, hey, talking about that,
Yeah.
but I'm an old man. I don't know how old you are, but I'm old enough to remember getting special edition fucking CDs,
Yeah.
albums, and they had like CD-ROM content on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
remember that shit? And
Yep.
you'd race home and you'd have to shove it in there, and it was like a video clip, and you were like, this is
Yeah, it was the one video clip you'd already seen on Rage earlier that day, but you're like, oh, I've got it whenever I want it, and you'd watch it 4 times, and then it'd just stay in the CD player.
that's it, and you go, oh, I'd never watch that again. I've got a
I
Soundgarden one, which is a video game, and it's
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, it's like,
What?
yeah, it's like into the super unknown. And I've only got disc 2, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I'm like, I could never find one. So I can't play the full game. And it's not even a game. It's just like, click on this, and it's a picture of fucking Kim Thale, like, on a couch, fucking Billy, you're like, oh, cool, cool. But
On that, something that's been in my mind, I have no idea why I've been thinking of this recently, but two things regarding like special edition sort of stuff. Or like even Easter eggy sort of shit. I had the first Slipknot album, the self-titled one. I had like a gatefold, like big cardboard fold-out one. And I distinctly remember, this was before Iowa came out,
yeah,
on one of the pictures, there was this tiny little printing of like, it said people equal shit on it. And I was like hidden in there. And I remember when Iowa came out, I was like, oh, they've named that song after that little bit. And it was in there. But I can't for the life of me find a picture of the CD gatefold or that picture that had it in there.
I've got that gatefold.
Do ya?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Where? I need to be vindicated with this.
I think I know where it is. I think I know where it is. I went through this crazy fucking clearing out mode weeks ago, where I went through all like a big tub of CDs and threw out the plastic cases and just put them in a sandwich bag just to condense it all.
Nice.
Because I was like, fuck it. Fuck it. But I kept those special editions and stuff like that.
Yeah, sick.
If you couldn't tell looking around, I kind of like plastic things a bit too much.
This is the thing. Like one of my only regrets in life was when I did a clear out of my CDs when I was like 25 or 6 or whatever. And I was like, moving around a fair bit, living that sort of life. I was like, it's dead weight. And like, I got rid of some of that stuff. I got rid of a bunch of band merch at the time, and like threw out one of Totally Unicorn's tie-dyed like first run of merch shirts that I had. And I didn't throw it out. I threw the merch out to like a Salvos. I gave that to a Salvos.
Yeah.
But like I was just like, look, I don't need it. It's sentimental. And now like I do wish I kept all that stuff, because despite everything I said about the vinyl just before, like I said, I do also recognize that whatever the artifact is, it holds special significance to the person that has it.
Yes.
And so I feel like it's more beholden to creators to produce something that is in line with sort of what they want to do, in line with their values, so that the people that can buy stuff, that want to hold something that will become significant to them, have good options, or at least have an option to sort of do that. So speaking of, the second thing before I forget, have you ever seen the calculator on the Slipknot Disaster Pieces DVD?
No.
Last time I looked, I had a really hard time finding any footage of this, but and this one I know for sure because I was like 19 or 18, and like my girlfriend and I did it a bunch of times. I showed her at the time. It's real. There was this way that you could, on the DVD, like song select screen, if you went up and down a couple of different times across different songs, the screen would freeze for a second, and then it would go to this random screen that had the chorus or the heavy section of People Equal Shit playing backwards, and there was a calculator on screen. And you could hit any of the numbers, and it would show you like one random clip that you couldn't see anywhere else. Again, I've been looking for this online for a while. The last time I tried to look, was probably like better part of a decade ago now. Just before pandemic. But like, again, one of those things where like when I found it as a guy, I freaked out. And it was like, I found something that no one else has. And I went to look online. And it's like, no one else has seen this. But like, yeah, that's the thing as well to have a look for in terms of like special, cool little stuff.
Down the fucking rabbit hole. I'm gonna.
Yes.
I'll be messaging you at like 2 a.m. going, man, I fucking found it.
I knew it. I knew you're putting a string up.
Oh man, but of course, mate, you got Mark Samuel Bonanno.
Bonanno.
Bonanno. I can never say his name. From Aunty Donna.
Yeah.
Mate, how'd that happen?
I mean, the way it happened, the practicality of it was really just we like had our manager email his agent, and they went sort of back and forth, and he wanted to do it. He was cool to do it, and eventually did it. But like so far as it goes, getting him to do it was sort of like, I'm a massive Aunty Donna fan, and I know that he's into metal. Just like, because I've listened to all of their podcast, I think at least twice through now, which is super sad to be talking about. It's the funniest shit. I love it. And like Mark would like drop like Slipknot lyrics into riffs every so often, like riffs in the comedic sense, not in the metal sense, actually. Yeah. And like he would, I just remember like pieces of like, his background that he's let out was that he was in a band as a vocalist ages and ages and ages ago. So I'm like, fuck, if like, I don't want to just get a melodeath vocalist on a song, because one of the things that has always irked me when I was a kid was not even noticing when a guest vocalist was on the track.
Yes.
Like at what point was this one like guttural death screamer going to sound different to this other guttural death screamer? Like, unless it's the guy from Whitechapel, unless it's Bozeman, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So like, I love the idea of like, the very different stylings, people, or just even names. So again, people seeing like Mark Samuel Bonanno on a song, if they know who it is, it's like, what are you talking about? Is that going to be a sketch in the middle of it? Is that going to be a spoken word thing? And one of the sort of not conditions per se, but just the way I sort of set it out to start with was, this isn't going to be a piss take. Like, the funniest thing we can do is to have Mark Samuel Bonanno from Aunty Donna play it straight. He gets on a track, he screams for a verse, he screams with me on a bridge, and we don't draw attention to it other than he's just a guest vocalist. That is funnier than any sort of sketch we could write or put on the song, in my opinion, at least. And like, again, it was one of those cool things, like with Thrash Wolf, where I gave him the lyrics. I recorded like vocals for that part, especially because it was like, when I was recording vocals, it was like, look, if he doesn't want to do it, we need to have vocals there anyway. So I'll record the vocals and I'll show him what I've got there. But here are the vocals. Here's the section that you've got. What are you going to do? And he had like a home studio. He just set it up and sent us the stuff across at a certain point. And we were like, sick. And so that's Mark Bonanno screaming on a metal track for us. And when we just put it together like from that, and it was just a really fun, like novel type of like guest spot for it. And I mean, I'm fucking stoked it happened. It's just it's just one of those things where the idea comes to you fully formed, and then having it materialize and be out in the world and be real is just the coolest thing. Just like, I thought of that and we're doing it. Man,
it came out really well. I didn't know he was a big metal dude, so it surprised me.
Yeah, I don't know if he's still like a metal dude, but like, no, I mean, like, I shouldn't say that. I think there's the sort of like, there's metal heads, and that contains a lot of sort of ideas and cliches and whatnot. But then I feel like there are like people who are really big fans of metal music, and it's just that they're not so much into or expressive of the rest of the culture around metal. And that's what I think is different to metal. It's not how much you like the music or not. It's whether you're super into the rest of the subculture and the aesthetic and everything that sort of goes with that. So like on Aunty Donna's Patreon, they've recently done a series where one of them gives a lecture to the other two about a really niche topic that the other two are clearly fucking bored by. And then there's an exam at the end of it. But Mark's lecture that he gave to the other two was on soil work. So like he's yeah, and he traces like the history of soil work and dark tranquility and In Flames, the influence on them and all the rest, and the different changing members and all that stuff. And so like he's in it. He's a metalhead. And yeah, it felt cool to sort of like reach out to him from the metal scene to just be like, hey, we recognize that you were into it, and we also recognize that you don't do it. Do you want to do it for a bit? Which was cool.
You know what? I find there's a lot of connections between comedy and metal. You probably do because you do comedy as well. And
yeah. I mean, I haven't done stand up in a long time, but comedy adjacent still. My research at the moment is on comedy, and like, yeah. So I'm still in it, podcasting in the same sort of way. Actually, I had a friend of mine who I've got to get together with him and properly chat about his PhD, but I'm pretty sure his PhD was on the connections between Australian metal and Australian comedy, or like comedy in Australian metal and shit like that. But yeah, I feel like one of the big things is that, like, especially live performance, comedians and metalheads have to play it serious in a way that they know it's not serious.
yes,
That's the thing. When you see goobers on stage being super grim and really taking it too seriously and thinking that this is evil and serious, the whole thing falls apart and is the least serious thing you can see. But when they're up there being aggressive and being angry with the knowledge of like, if you take this out of context, this is fucked. Like we're grown adults on stage. Like, what are we doing? But we're having fun and we enjoy doing it, and everyone in the crowd enjoys doing it. So let's let ourselves be angry in that moment. Same thing for comedy. You have a guy on stage, you have someone on stage talking shit to a captive and quiet crowd, and it's a pretend conversation. If that was at a party or at the dinner table, that's the most conceited, self-centered thing you can do. Of just like, shut up and listen to my story. Shut up, except for the part where you laugh at the parts I want you to laugh at. But because you're all in there together, you take it very seriously,
yes,
knowing that it's fundamentally not serious. And I think the other thing as well, I think there is the type of comedy I like is the super energetic comedy, the angrier, polemic sort of stuff is like how I style my my vocals and my lyrics and my performance as a singer. And then as a singer and as a metal vocalist, I try to take the parts from comedy that I like, that knowing, wink and a nudge, that ingratiating the audience in with you as well, not putting up barriers there. Like there's heaps of crossover. You're right.
I love it. Yeah, even like who was it? Belushi. Belushi was a metal dude before he did Blues Brothers with Aykroyd.
Really?
Apparently, yeah, man. He was through Sabbath and all. Well,
Yeah, right.
the metal for that day. Yeah,
Yeah. Metal contextual. Well, it's like even like Jim Carrey had Cannibal Corpse in Thingo.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in there. Have you seen there's the clip of Bill Burr talking about Meshuggah?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
apparently he has a drum kit set up before he does a show, and he fucking jams out on the drums.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, hell yeah.
See, they're out there.
Yeah.
Fucking.
It's hiding amongst us.
Yeah.
Wear a band shirt, you cowards.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We're something brutal. But hey, you're also celebrating. Hang on, 1 sec. Sorry, Zoom's coming up with that fucking. You've got fucking 10 minutes left, or give us money.
Oh yeah.
I'm not. That's all right. Let's get some fucking questions. Man, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Vengeance Paradox. I can't even talk properly tonight.
Yeah.
November 29, I believe that.
Yes.
Man,
Yeah, the Evelyn.
are you going to do start to finish? Is that the plan, or is there a reissue, or what's the plan for that?
We're going to do a bunch of the big songs and a couple of deep cuts off of the album, and we're also going to do the EP in full. And so it's kind of this nice sort of like bridging of the new and the old. It's because I mean I wasn't on the Vengeance Paradox. That was the vocals before me. That's how long the band's been sort of going and carrying it along. So I've got my own sort of like vocal take on these Vengeance Paradox songs, but it's not something that I want to ever, go back and like do a remaster or do a retracking with my vocals on it or anything like that. Because like the album's the album, it stands, and it is what it is, and it's a behemoth of an album. And it's interesting for me because I was living in Brisbane for a little bit. I was in bands when I was in Northern Rivers, like Byron Bay area. And I was into metal bands when Parkway Drive was still doing like the youth club gigs. And so I was always going to Brisbane City to get into the metal scene there and do the gigs there. And then I finally found some friends in Electric Dynamite and a few other bands, and like was coming down to Melbourne. And even before I moved to Melbourne, I had people in the metal scene in Melbourne talking about like, if you were ever to join like a Melbourne band, I reckon you'd be a good fit for the Eye of the Enemy. I reckon that's where you'd go well. And so that was years, 4 or 5 years of people sort of mentioning that as just an offhand thing of just like your vibe seems to match with theirs. And then that was around the time Vengeance Paradox sort of came out. And so I knew Eye of the Enemy as just being this bullshit Melbourne band that like, got the Cradle of Filth support before an album came out. Then done a Monomath at the Gates, all these fucking bands, and this album sort of comes out and it's like, Jesus, like that's a big album for Australian metal. And then it was a couple, I think a year or two after that, when they just hit me up in the DMs, be like, "Hey, do you want to tour Asia?" I was like, "Yeah, all right."
Yeah, anyway.
Let me honestly, dude, I nearly made like another major regret. So I was finishing my honors at the time, and I had the fucking audacity to say, "Can we put a pin in it? I need to finish my honors thesis, and I'll get right back to you straight after that." And like, imagine if if they were like, "No, we need someone inside a fortnight, dickhead." It's like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, because it's like since forever, it was like I would drop everything for music, I would tour the world 100% every single time, and now like I'm on that level again. I was like, yeah, let's tour, let's do this stuff. But for some reason, there was a 6 month period where I was like, my honors is the most important thing. Can I get back to you, man? But so anyway, all of that is to sort of say that like while I wasn't on this album, it's the fact that like the album does mean a lot. It's still formative in not just my progression with Eye of the Enemy, but also just as a musician, as a Melbourne metalhead and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a special, cool little gig that we're putting together. To just sort of celebrate the 10 years of that, and then also herald in this new EP because the EP comes out a week after the show. So
6th?
we're 6th of December. And so we're also going to have EP merch at the gig, and that's going to be sort of like the first place to buy it. So if you definitely want to grab some of the Eye of the Enemy merch, do it there. What's left will go up online when the EP drops.
And what about a run? You're planning Europe?
Yeah, so Europe is, I mean, it's it's annoying, but there's plans for Europe for sure, and we want to be getting that together as soon as we can. We do have a very good but still potential Australian tour coming up. Unfortunately, I can't say anything about it yet because it hasn't been sort of confirmed and announced. But if it comes through, it's looking like it'll be fucking sick. So definitely, everyone should keep their eyes out for that. But I mean, if you like Eye of the Enemy, and are on social media, that's the only credit you will fucking hear about it if we get this, if it comes through. So that'll be sick.
EPS secrets.
Yeah.
Say that everyone. That's cool, man. Is Brisbane a return to Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
Yep.
Carlos?
Yep.
Cool.
That'll be it. It'll be an East Coast run.
Yeah, awesome, man. Because I
Yeah.
can't remember last time. I think it was the back room. We played with you at the back room. That was the earlier Snake Mountain. We played a show with you, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
I think it was one of the metal things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to get back to Brisbane just for the cool, like the metal festival scene that's there. There's been so many like real fun metal festivals that were like, like with Dead of Winter, was it Bastard Fest? for a bit there. There was also like a horror themed one at the arena when that was still around back in the day. And like the gigs in Brisbane are good. I rate Brisbane highly. Rate it better than Sydney, fucking Sydney. But like, yeah, there's something to the Brisbane Metal Festival where they always pack out. They're always good vibes, but there's also no pretension like you can get in the Sydney and Melbourne metal festivals, where like, big venues taken over and there's some prestige to it, and this gig's very important. It's the epicenter of Australian metal. Whereas in Brisbane, there's a lot of just like, let's get pissed quicker.
Yes.
Like this band's about to go on. Oh, 2 beers between that band and the next one. Like, yeah.
Necrosonic, dude, is the one that
Necros.
on. Fuck, dude, what a day. I had
Yeah.
like we played earlier in the day and then we just smashed beer, stupid, and watched the Kaiser Souze boys and Psychroptic
Yeah.
and Freedom of Fear, and it was fucking
Fuck
rad.
yeah.
That was, man,
Yeah.
what a festival. That's
Yeah.
that's where it's at now. It's sick. But hey man, it's been great hanging out with you. We're gonna have all the links down here. Well, when I get them, you got to send me the preset.
I'm gonna send you some links. I'm
Yeah,
gonna shoot
definitely.
some links straight after this.
Yeah, send me
If
the
there's no
preset.
links down here, it's me. It's not. It's not Everblack. It was me. I fucked it.
Yeah,
And that's unfortunately, I've got to keep those secrets too. You can't have any links.
okay.
Everyone has to Google. No,
It's the screensaver. It'll just be that with like, when you get all the tiny little ones and it's just float. Well, that's what's going to be down here in the notes. One, you're gonna fucking find that link. It's hidden like the Slipknot DVD.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you gotta. I'll remember have to do that. But I'll let you know at 2 a.m. But brother, thanks again for hanging out. It's been cool chatting with you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for having me on, man. It's fun to chat. I mean, it's self-involved, but it is very fun to chat about, your own art and yourself every so often. I think if I was doing this every day, I'd hate it. But no, thanks for giving me and, all the other artists a space to delve a bit deeper, express themselves into it, and, and have a chat about it. It's great.
Oh, and thanks for giving us a spin when you were on the radio too. That was fucking appreciated that a
That's
lot.
always a fun thing too. I mean, I'm going to throw it right back while we're throwing thanks around. Thanks for playing good music. That's one of the things of like hosting the Triple J stuff, is that it's genuinely really fun when a band is just good and you can help them out. You can chuck something on the radio, because especially the ABC, there's a lot of sort of checks and balances and making sure like nepotism's not involved and you're not just helping your friends and all that sort of stuff. So you have to be able to justify, if anyone asks you, like, why did you play them, even though they're your friend? And like, it's always so nice to be able to point to everything I've ever played and just be like, because it's fucking good. Listen to it. It's sick.
I appreciate
So,
you
yeah.
saying that, man. Thank you.
But no, thanks, dude. This is done.
Yeah, let's catch up soon. Yeah, get
Yeah,
up.
hell yeah. Come on to Brisbane.
Yeah, fucking back
I'll do
to
it.
homeland. But yeah. Okay, take care, brother. I'll see you soon.
Gotcha, dude.
See you, man.